Sometimes the most fascinating stories aren't the ones you find in big, polished history books. Nope, they're hidden away in fragments, in spreadsheets, in kind of obscure records. And today, our source material is exactly that, a set of campaign notes from a tabletop role-playing game. So we're going to be detectives, piecing together a profile from these scattered clues, building our dossier one piece of evidence at a time. Our investigation starts right now. All right, our investigation kicks off right here with our very first clue. This is a recurring header in the logs, basically a team roster for an adventuring party that calls itself Calum the Gang. And right there, tucked in between names like Angry Ralph and Kaching, we find our guy, Darkesh. This is our starting point. So this is the big question we're tackling, right? Who is this adventurer known as Darkesh? Using only the entries in these logs, we're going to put together a full dossier, piecing together a profile of his skills, his role in the group, and yeah, even his personality when things get a little intense. To start building that profile, we're going to start where the evidence is strongest, his documented abilities. And right away, the session notes tell us he's a specialist with a very particular set of skills. So, the first power that's explicitly mentioned is a total classic for any magic user, Dimension Door. Now, according to the source rulebook, this isn't just some random jump. Oh no, this is a high-level spell. It's precise, it's instantaneous, and it lets the caster pop up at an exact spot they want with zero chance of error. A seriously powerful tool to have. And here's where it gets really crucial. The log shows this is not just an escape hatch for him. In this entry, he's using it proactively, tactically. He doesn't just save himself. He uses Dimension Door to ferry his entire party past a threat. This tells us his magic is a huge asset for the whole group. But hang on, let's go back to that first part of the quote. Before the Dimension Door, he uses a time ability. Now this is interesting. I've looked all through the source spell lists, and this ability, it's not on there. It's something unique, something custom. And it's our first real hint that there's a lot more to Darkesh than meets the eye. So what can we take away from this? Well, you combine a known, high-level spell that he uses for the whole group with this unknown, mysterious time ability for stealth. It paints a really clear picture. Darkesh isn't your frontline fireball tosser. He's the team's specialist for infiltration, a master of manipulating space and, apparently, time itself. All right, let's move on from his powers and take a look at his gear. Now, while the party shares a lot of their loot, the records assign one very specific magical item to him and him alone. And this gives us another really good clue about his job on the team. And here it is, right in the loot manifest, plain as day. There's no ambiguity, no question who it belongs to. It says, item, Darkesh Zephyrus bottle. So unlike a shared sword or a pile of gold, this is personal, it's his. So let's break down what this thing actually does. And when you actually look at what this bottle does, a clear pattern just jumps out. None of these abilities are offensive. This isn't a fire-breathing bottle or a poison dispenser. It gives a little healing to everyone in a pretty wide area. And, critically, it gives the entire group a bonus to their initiative, which means they get to act faster in a fight. It is, through and through, a support item. Okay, so we've established our guy is a magical specialist with unique powers, and he's carrying a support-focused item. This paints a picture of a really clever, team-oriented strategist. But what happens when things go wrong? Let's see how this profile holds up when the pressure is really on. And this just illustrates the two sides of his coin perfectly. The logs give us two entries, back to back, from the exact same day. On one hand, you have the strategist, Darkesh, using his powerful magic to cleverly sneak the whole party past a dangerous threat. But then moments later, in the very next room, we see the mortal. A bone devil shows up, hits him with a magical fear effect, and he completely loses his nerve. He runs and has to be physically stopped by a teammate from fleeing right back into the danger they just bypassed. And it's this contrast that is so crucial. This isn't some flat, one-dimensional hero. The dossier shows us someone who is both a powerful, intelligent asset to his team and also a vulnerable individual who is susceptible to his own fears. It's this contrast that really makes the character feel real. So, after going through the session logs and the loot manifests, we've collected our evidence. Let's assemble all these little fragments and clues and summarize what our investigation into the Darkesh Dossier has really told us. From just a handful of scattered entries, we actually have a surprisingly clear picture. We know his group, his core skill set, blending known magic with something totally unique, his role as a support and infiltration specialist, his tactical mind, and his critical weakness under fire. And yet, for all that we've managed to piece together, the dossier is incomplete. The logs never once mention his race or where he came from. And as you scroll through the later entries, his name just stops appearing. What happened to him? The records just fall silent, leaving us with these really compelling mysteries. In the end, I guess it's fitting that a character who could manipulate time remains just a little bit out of our grasp. No matter how closely we examine the records, he's always a little ahead of his time.